Belshire Vestige.
And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Belshire Vestige. The red Zerg player just taking out Vibe in her first round match. It is Acer's Scarlett. Scarlett's opponent up in the top left. You know, I didn't expect this player to get past Hero, but he did. He did it with a score of 2-1. The blue Protoss is Evil Genius's Oz.
You know, Ben, I've seen quite a few games from Oz in Pro League, but he actually didn't play too many games against Zerg. It was mostly PvP, as it goes for most Pro players, I have to admit. I've seen him, think, once or twice in the PvT, but I haven't seen him play all that many PvZs. So he either played PvZs on the days that I missed him, or he didn't actually play all that many of them. Certainly not in the all-kill format. I can't remember once that a Zerg was killing EGTL, and they were like, all right, let's bring out Oz, unless he was like the last remaining player on the team. So I'm not super familiar with his style. We see he's going to open up with a gateway in his own base, and you know, Ben, I'm also just generally excited to see if there's anything that I can learn, because if there's one matchup that I'm still struggling as a Protoss player, it has to be PvZ. And you know, it's often just a personal thing, like either you're good in the matchup or you're not. Doesn't actually necessarily have to do something with balance, but me personally, I'm completely lost in this matchup, so I'm very curious to see if Oz can show me the way.
You and me both, Kev. My versus Protoss has always been the matchup I struggled most with. To me, that still holds true here in Heart of the Swarm. The opening we're seeing out of Oz is one that's become more and more common, that kind of gateway, which I'm sure will become a gateway expand. And the thing that gives me the most trouble here is when they follow that up with some 4-gate pressure on the Zerg third base. It comes at strange times. It's often very hard to hold, even if you know it's coming. So I'm going to be watching closely to see if, well, one, if that's what Oz chooses to do, and two, how Scarlett's going to deal with it.
We've seen some crazy builds as well with a couple of really quick DTs. By the way, for a while, Oz was building a Zealot, and then on the last moment he decided to cancel that Zealot. Right? Yeah, he did cancel the Zealot for a quicker... Actually, he's going to be forced to cancel this Python already. That's really kind of annoying. The Mothership Core is not going to be out there in time. And this is actually going to be a Python that he's going to have to rebuild somewhere else right now. This is a little frustrating already, man.
Now, Mothership Core should be able to usher these Lings out before there's ever a threat to the Nexus itself.
You know, I really think that if this would have been an opening where Scarlett goes like 14 poolter or 13 gas, 14 pools, something like that, that would be such an almost ridiculous, impossible scenario already to even defend. And this is one of the issues that I have with this build. Certainly if you play it out like Oz, he didn't send a probe early on to check gas timings. Now in this case, Oz has absolutely nothing to worry about. He will still get his wall off, and this will still be a normal game. But if Scarlett would have gone like 13 gas, 12 pools, something ridiculously quick with speed links, this is game over.
Well, she does have a speedling follow-up. It's not as fast as you talked about, Kev. Link speed on the way, and still gas being mined by Scarlett, although I think it's only with a single drone. And the other question that I often find when playing against these gateway expands is, when is the right time for Zerg to take that third base? Most Zergs are saying around 6 minutes, 6 minutes 30 seconds, once that speed is out and you actually have some real map control.
Oz getting 16 probes on his mineral in the main base, and then starts rallying mineral probes to his natural. That is optimal saturation, at least for now. He's going to drop a Robo-ban in the back of his base, and I'm very curious to see what he's going to do with it. Maybe some good old just 2-base Protoss play. That is very possible. If you go Robo straight into 3 bases, you make yourself pretty susceptible to meta play.
Yeah, meta play, and also just the big macro play of Zerg as well. Always a very real threat. If we look at the income tab, we can see Scarlett's really taking her time in droning up. She's still just at about 37 harvesters, barely passing Oz in the worker count.
Yes, he's making a lot of drones now at once. Something that Scarlett often does is that she has the larva available and she could blindly make drones, but she doesn't do it. She wants to make sure that it's safe to morph those drones, which, yes, like slows everything down a little bit, because she could have potentially had those drones a little bit quicker, but it also makes her play so much safer. That I think that's actually something that traditionally trademarks a very high level player.
And what is it that prompted her to make those drones? Probably seeing those second 2 gases in the natural expansion. That usually is enough of an indicator for Zerg to say, all right, Protoss is teching up a little bit. I've got just a small amount more time to drone up, so I'm going to go ahead and get those workers out. Third base also down for Scarlett.
How many gates is he going to make, Ben?
Scarlett's teching fast, Kev.
This is this is like 6-7 gates right now with a +1. This is kind of like the build that I've been talking to you about. And actually people who've watched my stream in the last 2 days, I've been doing something ridiculous where I don't actually take the gases in my Netio, so I don't think that Oz is really going to commit to this. Kind of just make like 7 gates, but still get a robotics facility out as well, and a warp prism and an observer and +1, so you can push the creep back and you can get much better warp ins with the prism. Despite never really making any immortals, you're still relying on gateway units, but this is still so much stronger than just a normal gateway attack without the warp prism and the observer.
You know, Scarlett's getting +1, but it's not +1 armor, it's +1 melee. So the Zealots of Oz are going to be very, very tough to deal with. There are Lings out on the map, but Scarlett has no idea that this is coming.
Ooh. Come on, Oz, you're gonna have to go right now, because if the speedlings swing around from both sides, you don't have too many force fields. I think that Oz is gonna be able to force a cancel on this hatchery. This is like kind of really well done.
Not gonna be a cancel, it's probably gonna be a kill. Here comes that next big warp in.
Sorry, that's of course what I mean. He has the Mothership Core as well, so he could potentially still recall out. It's a crazy amount of Zealots and Sentries, but look at the production tab, man. I don't think that this is the end of the world right now for Scarlett if Oz follows this up with another gateway push. And I think that is exactly what is going to happen, because he's not making any probes, he's not making a robotics bay, so he's gonna make pure Sentry Zealot, and that's like one of the worst army compositions in history against Infestus.
I do agree with that. A lot of Spine Crawlers going down as well. Spines are excellent, are also excellent against Zealots, certainly when you can't really use Force Field. Scarlett is gonna go ahead and engage using these Zerglings. Where are the Infestors? They're taking a long time to hatch. They will hatch soon, though, and Force Fields are going to keep Ling reinforcements from coming in. Sentry's doing a great job keeping the units out on the top side. There is energy. We need to see that energy used, and a good fungal does go down on those Sentries, but Kev, the Infestors use all their energy on infested Terrans.
And now everything is just a little too spread out. Twilight Council is going to be the follow-up behind this for Oz, but does he even need it, man?
No, I think this is enough damage already. Lings are going to get crushed by the Zealots. This is the problem when you don't get that armor upgrade. Drone count has been destroyed. Third base has been destroyed. Natural has now been breached. Oz with a crazy aggressive 2-base push here on Belshir Vestige, and Scarlett has no choice but to tap out. And I'm going to say right away, these are the kind of builds that give me so much trouble. That gateway expand into some heavy